Hello everyone. Today we are going to explore about complex sentences. A complex sentence consists of one or more main clauses and one or more subordinate clauses. The main clause is the part of the sentence that can make sense on its own even without the rest of the sentence. For example, the knight picked up the sword. This is the main clause. The subordinate clause depends on the main clause to give its meaning. It also affects the overall meaning of the sentence by influencing the main clause. The knight picked up the sword when he was challenged for a fight. You can see that the main clause is the sentence the knight picked up by the sword, and the subordinate clause is when he was challenged for a fight. Let us explore the structure of a complex sentence. Example, the city of Alexandria had the largest library in the ancient world, which was constructed by the Greeks and later destroyed by the Romans. There are three clauses in this sentence. The main clause, which is in italics, the city of Alexandria had the largest library in the ancient world. The first subordinate clause is which was constructed by the Greeks. The second subordinate clause, and later destroyed by the Romans. Let's start with some easy examples. You should be able to identify the main clause and the subordinate clause separately. You may write down these sentences and practice this exercise. Take your time, use a book, and write down these sentences and try to identify the main clause and the subordinate clause. Sam danced gracefully even with a back injury. Internet shopping is very popular today because it is convenient. Because he was burnt by the kettle, he went to the clinic. Peter, who was playing in the jumping castle, was excited. The security guard, who was trained in martial arts, stopped the thief. A word of caution: do not always expect the main clause to be at the beginning of the sentence. Sometimes the main clause could be somewhere else. With the experience we have gained in the previous exercise, now you can understand that main clauses do not necessarily always come at the first place of a sentence. Look carefully. Subordinate clauses can appear in different parts of the sentence. Sam danced gracefully, even with a back injury. Even with the back injury, Sam danced gracefully. Sam, even with the back injury, danced gracefully. Here, the main clause is Sam danced gracefully, whereas the subordinate clause is even with the back injury. Punctuation is very important when writing sentences. When subordinate clauses begin sentences, they are often separated by commas. If we are in France, let's visit Paris. Although she prepared her speech many times, Suzanne failed in the examination. While waiting for the school bus, Tim had his breakfast. Always remember that the main clause carries its own meaning. It does not need the subordinate clause. The only purpose for the subordinate clause is to give an extra meaning to the main clause. This is for extra knowledge. Subordinators are the words which are used to connect subordinate clauses to the main clause. They are linking words that are used to join clauses together. They are used at the beginning or in the middle of a sentence. Look at the reference list of subordinators: as, in case, how, as if, since, just as, after, when, that, before, so that, where, ever since, although, whom, whenever, if, who, until, not only, whatever, because, unless, unlike. I believe that with the previous experience in dealing with exercises, now you can confidently deal with this further practice. In this exercise, we've been given subordinators. They are supposed to join the sentences, the subordinate clause with the main clause, with the subordinators given in the brackets. Look carefully. Tim went to Australia. He wanted to become a lifesaver. The renovations were completed on time. It wasn't completed according to the proposal. Alex is afraid of spiders. He touched them at the school fair. Brian will help all the students apply for the international courses. They must all give him the application form. Dad put Lucy on his shoulders. Lucy wanted to see the fireworks. Remember that the main clause should not necessarily be the first sentence. Sometimes the two sentences given in this exercise might interchange their positions. Always be careful with the last sentences. They are the particular hardest ones. Let us now identify the clauses in more complicated complex sentences. You should be able to identify 3 clauses. The field was made ready with the help of all the farmers of the village in preparation for the winter season and to gather straw for the animals to feed during the winter. The ancient Sinhalese had to face many challenges during their times, and as they were isolated in an island in the Indian Ocean, they came up with many unique solutions. Although the technology was very limited, the ancient Egyptians took very accurate measurements when building a pyramid, as they had to use 2.3 million blocks of stones and align them according to the positions of the stars. Let's try some more questions. The Greeks are considered to have started the first civilization in Europe, contributing to the development of Western culture in diverse fields, which still influence the modern world today. Aladdin was originally one of the stories from the Thousand Arabian Nights, narrated by a queen who was given a challenge from her king. William Shakespeare, undoubtedly one of the greatest writers in history, created many famous plays, both tragedy and comedy. Although a landlocked country, Switzerland has emerged as one of the most famous countries around the world, with its cheese, chocolates, and banks considered as the best in the world. Globally acclaimed and a household name, pizzas were an Italian invention, with cheese and tomatoes becoming important ingredients. Learning to write long, complex sentences is an important skill. It is still even more important to identify what the main clauses and subordinate clauses will be if you want to write a meaningful sentence. Complex sentences are useful when you want to convey a complicated idea without breaking it up into several sentences. Remember, newspapers and scientific articles are great sources to learn about complex sentences. The more complicated is the idea, the more clauses will be added to the main sentence. Try to make reading a habit. You will become an expert in comprehending and writing complex sentences within a short period of time. Thank you for watching this video. I hope that you have learned the lesson about complex sentences. I hope to meet you again at the next lesson.